Careers.
Hey up, how's it going? I'm here now with Kerry, who's going to be our original long-termer. She's going to test everything, and she's got a lot of hopes and expectations for herself, which we'll talk about a bit later on. So I thought this would be the best time to introduce Kerry, or let Kerry introduce herself. To talk about what she's looking to achieve here at TEAM Bootcamp, talk about the concept and everything, and and then perhaps pass on any tips that she's already learned, and give you a bit of feedback about what's going on. Okay, so that's basically how it's going to run. So, Kerry.
Right, Craig, hit me with the questions.
The first question is, can you give our viewers and listeners a bit of an introduction as to who you are, what your current lifestyle is like? That's it.
Yeah, well, hello everyone, I'm Kerry, I'm 34, I'm a registered nurse. So in terms of my lifestyle, I do long shifts, do 12.5 hours, do varied shifts. I do lots of days, lots of nights, and there's usually a very fast turnover between the two of them. So I tend to get, I call it the equivalent of jet lag, and it's completely, I can't put it all onto the fact that I'm a shift worker, but I think it has
shift worker.
Shift.
There's an F in there.
I did say F.
All right, okay, shift.
There was
worker.
no sugar, honey,
Definitely
ice.
shift.
There was
worker.
no sugar, honey, ice, and tea, my friends. None whatsoever. Where was I? Shift worker, yes. And it's really affected my eating patterns. Also, I have to take onus that I am a bit of an emotional eater. So rather than deal with my stressors or triggers properly, I will turn to food, which is my crutch.
Yeah.
I don't drink and I don't smoke, but food is the one thing that I can't quite let go of yet.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds like you've got a good grip on what's going on in your current lifestyle. So what's led you to this point now as we sit here? Can you just give us a bit of a rundown on that?
Well, crumbs, there's a few factors there. I think initially give me a second, I'm just formulating it in my mind. Why have I come here? Well, I've successfully lost some weight. I'm not as heavy as I initially was 3 years ago. I'm still 4 stone lighter than I was then, but at the beginning of this year, I was another 3.5 stone lighter than that. But this was after doing a few boot camps. Obviously not boot camps here because this is our first week. Woo! And I lost the weight, managed to beast myself out on the training pitch really well. Lost the weight, left here, usually got quite poorly. Also injured my back, and then my weight began to creep up again. So I thought, right, I need to go back to a boot camp. Lost the weight again. Got poorly after. Weight went back up again, and it was just yo-yoing, and I wanted sort of like a downward trend, and instead it's like this, and now my weight's probably higher than I want it to be. I've looked at or my family have wanted me to look at surgical options for weight loss, but to me that's not actually dealing with the problem. You need to deal with the reason why I eat the wrong stuff or overeat, really.
That's brilliant.
And this seemed like, sorry to interrupt, you will get your turn. And this seemed more of a holistic approach where it was going to obviously help me with the exercise, but also focus on my things which I'm probably going to find harder, which is the emotional aspect, and also putting the nutrition actually into play for my shifts.
So that leads us on pretty much to the TEAM Bootcamp concept, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what I'll say to the people watching this video now is that the more videos and podcasts and articles and everything that we do with Kerry, we'll look at some of these triggers and barriers to exercise and all this kind of stuff, and see what strategies we can draw out. And hopefully with Kerry's experience, it can help you guys as well without actually turning up at boot camp. So
Goot camp.
Goot camp, which is slightly different, but similar thing. But so our concept, obviously you've had our concept and the way that we are going to run things at TEAM Bootcamp drummed into you by now, and you're a few days into it, so you've got a bit of a handle on how it's going. So can you give us a bit of an explanation in your own words as to what the concept and everything is, and B, a little bit of honest feedback about how you think it's going?
My interpretation of the concept here is it's more of a holistic approach. So as well as focusing, it's not just directly focusing on weight loss. That's almost a good byproduct of actually getting your head sorted around your nutrition, making sure you're taking on board the right nutrition for your particular lifestyle, but also looking at the reasons or potentially factors that are making you overeat or choose the wrong food, and allowing you to put processes in place to try and change that. I mean, it's not going to happen instantaneously. It's something, if you've got a learned behaviour, from my understanding, it's going to take you a while to unlearn it. So it's more holistic. 3D.
3D, definitely.
Unlike other places that would say put their main focus on beasting you on the exercise front and then not giving you a little bit of follow-up and support afterwards, which I think is quite important, because this is a very supportive and very cuddly, as Paula would say, inside the house place, and also it's hard. This sort of journey is actually I know that's a very American word. This journey is a very hard thing to do, and when you're at home and you might not, the people around you might not quite understand what you've gone through, it's nice to have that support with you guys.
Perfect. So
now my experiences. Sorry, Craig.
How do you think it's gone over the past couple of days?
Am I allowed to be properly honest?
Yeah, you've got to be honest. Yeah.
I hated the first 3 days. It took all of my willpower not to leave after each session, and that might sound like a very glib comment because I've done boot camps before, so I should know what I was letting myself in for. But I've never been this heavy or I think unfit. So because of that, I was finding it extremely hard, and I tend to beat myself up quite a lot, and that I was expecting myself to be at the same level as I was before. But even after, what day are we, 2.5 days in?
Yeah.
Even after 2.5 days in, I mean, I don't know what the trainers would have said about me today, but I managed, I managed to push myself. I felt my body able to do more. I didn't feel like I was going to die, and today I didn't have that negativity in my mind about, right, that's it, I'm going home. I was just like, right, I've got 30 reps of this to do, we're going to get it done, then we'll move on to the next. Yeah. So
I think that's quite a common thing, and I think it's something that returning boot campers experience, because what tends to happen is you start the week and it's hard, it's a shock to your body aches, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're hungry, and then as the week goes on you become more accustomed to that, until eventually you get to the end of the week, you get your results, that's a very, very positive time, and you kind of forget the negative stuff a little bit. So then when you come back, it's a shock again, and it's a shock again, and because we try and compare it to how it's been in the past, it feels worse. It's probably no different, but okay, great. So I took a little rundown now. So perhaps it's good then, as a bit of an introduction, just to talk about what you hope to achieve and what your sort of expectations are over the next however many months that we're going to be running at this. Okay.
Well, I know that my expectations initially are going to be unrealistic, because that's the sort of person I am. I sort of want instant success. But I'm just trying to retrain myself that I want steady, slow progress that's going to stay progress, rather than these huge peaks and troughs of amazing success and then complete, I don't want to use the word failure, but going back to how I was before. So I'm hoping that obviously with the training, because I also want to get fit as well, I want to improve my strength and my stamina, I want to improve my core, because obviously I have a back injury, my core strength. So I'm hoping obviously with the exercise with the guys, that's going to help. It's also going to help me feel better. But I'm also, I wouldn't say looking forward to, because I think this is actually going to be the hardest thing for me, rather than the actual exercise, is looking at the emotional reasons as to why I overeat. I've identified my triggers, I know what my triggers are, but that hasn't actually enabled me to stop from overeating. And trying to come up with some ideas or things to put in place to actually make me think before I immediately go, yeah, I'm stressed, I don't know what to do, don't know how to feel that right. I'm going to reach for something that's high refined sugar, and that's going to push that emotion down so I can't feel it, and all I'm going to feel is lethargic and bleh, because I've just caned, a pack of 5 donuts.
Brilliant. Okay, so something you said there has just really struck me, and that's the fact that you're here. You're expecting to lose weight and make some good results. You're going to engage in some really hard, no compromise military training. I mean, let's face it. Some of the quotes I've had this week is, I've done weeks and weeks of boot camp before, but that day was the hardest day I've ever had. That's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with here, and you're expected to do that with a lower back ailment or injury or whatever it's going to be. So, and there'll be people out there that might be carrying injuries similar to that and thinking about boot camp, but then are putting it off because they've got this nagging worry that the back's not going to be able to cope. So what would you say
Well, I'd say the good thing so far is I made it very clear to the guys that my back's been a real issue for me, so much so that I've had to invest in having a quiet chiropractor on a regular basis. And I've tried out all the exercises, but the minute I know my back's starting to feel a twinge, I'll go up to them and I'll say, look, this is hurting my lower back, can you give me something else? And they've always come up with alternatives for me, but I still feel like I've really pushed myself on.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get to the end of the day and I think, brilliant, I've done a massive amount of exercise and, yeah, my back's doable. I think I'm going to be able to go on and do the next day. I think that's quite important, not to let the fear of injuries put you off from coming if that's what you want to do, because everybody in their life at some point will get an injury or other, and it would be a shame to let one injury stop you from using, you know, the rest of your body, improving your fitness and losing weight.
Yeah. Okay, I've just got to add to that obviously any camper that comes to Team Bootcamp, we're duty bound to screen you basically for injuries and whether you...
In case you're a nutter.
Yeah, in case you're a nutter. And, you know, and we're duty bound to advise you if you're not suitable to our programme and all this kind of stuff, so that's good. Okay, so that's great, that's a fantastic start. We're running just over 10 minutes now, we've been running for. And I just wondered if you've got any, and it only needs to be, you know, one or two, top tips about coming to boot camp, top tips about being at boot camp, or just generally getting your weight management on track or your fitness on track. Any Kez's top tips?
That's several questions, right? What was the first one?
No, so, well, just, you know, what top tips would you give the people watching this right now?
I would say don't be embarrassed about the fact that you're coming here, because it's a really positive thing to do. And I was scared shitless before I came, and I almost turned around a couple of times the first time I did a boot camp. I'd say if you don't want to tell your family, at least tell your friends, because they really will be interested in how you're getting on here, and you'll be getting phone calls from them and support via text. And I found that really helpful after a really hard day, that, you know, people were back home were caring about what's going on. I'd say bring zinc oxide tape for blisters and for strapping your feet up. You know, well, I'm sure that's already on the website, isn't it, in terms of things to bring. In terms of getting your weight back on track, because I'm very much, I want instant results now, that's never worked, because I've tried to sort out everything all in one go, and when it's failed, I thought, well, that's it then, I'll just give up, unless I'm 100% on target. You know, I give up. I would say try to change one thing, because it makes it slightly more manageable. And then once you've got that cemented, then you can build on that.
Brilliant. And we're going to do lots and lots of work, lots of videos and podcasts and what have you, about changing these habits and, you know, and creating new lifestyles in effect that you can take for the rest of your life. So that's it. So thank you very much for watching that or listening to this, if you're listening to it on the podcast. I would encourage you to either like this video or comment below, you know, send some feedback to us, because obviously it's, you know, this is something that Kerry's not accustomed to. It's great for her to get involved and to volunteer to do this. So a bit of, you know, like it, comment on it, so that she can see that people are actually getting some good value from this. So until the next time, I'll see you later.
Thank you very much.